Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome again to another live. And as usual, I'll wait for a few people to come on and make sure you can see me. We had a little bit of technical difficulties yesterday as my Wi-Fi went down, but thank God I had data on my phone. And good morning to you, Rosa and Janelle. Well, we got a lot of questions this morning to get through, so we'll try. Nativity, good morning. Roxanne, nice to have you with us. And Diane, good to be on. Okay, so we got a good crowd already, and it's much appreciated. And Morris from North Bay, and Bernice, Arlene. I don't want to miss anybody. Bonjour, Yolande. And let's see, Nick is watching. And Jeanette, so our nutritionists are on with us. Diane, good morning. And Judy, Andrea from our Nouveau Brunswick. I'm going to go there one of these days, get back there. I did a few seminars. Boy, it's got to be 20 years ago. Well, more than that. I did a few seminars in Nouveau Brunswick. I really loved it. Okay, and Kristen and Lise, and let me see, Donna and Clyde from Whitehorse, Yukon. I'd love to go to Whitehorse, Yukon. I really would. And I'd like to go to Alaska too. Okay, let me just see here. Kristen. And Keith, good morning to you. Linda, Joe, how are you? Joe and Lucy, Vicky and Francine and Sarah and Carmelina. I like that, Carmelina. Annie and Ghislaine from Cap. And Arlene, you guys are great. Jan, how are you? From Nova Scotia. And Lisa from Windsor. And Natalie and Nancy. And another Dave from Windsor. Okay, big crowd, so let's get right into it. Margaret, I hate to stop, Darlene, but I promise, Shirley from Kapuskasing, I promise to go in, and Roxanne. Okay, I gotta get going, otherwise I'm never gonna finish. Okay, here's some good questions. Diane asked, if I'm taking needles, or I don't know if that was for her or somebody else, taking needles for diabetes, can I do the reset? Well, the reset, I don't know, some of you wouldn't know the background of it, but where I started on the reset, which is a 30-day program, okay, it's a 30-day program. I started it with diabetics. And the results were astounding with diabetics because diabetics have an allergy to carbs. And the nutritionist and the dietitians never tell them that. But when you're a diabetic, whether you're type 1 or type 2, type 1 is an autoimmune disease, but whether you're type 1 or type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, whatever, you have an allergy to carbs. Have you not heard my cat story? I always told my diabetics the cat story. Here it is, very short. True story, by the way. A lady comes in years ago, and she's got bad allergies. I thought she might have had a cold or whatever, sneezing and coughing, and she doesn't feel good. And as soon as I took her blood, I knew it was allergies because she had lots of mast cells. I said, well, you got an allergy. Yeah, she said, Doc, that's why I'm here. Okay, what are you allergic to? Because a lot of people don't even know what they're allergic to. She said, my cat. I said, well, get rid of it. She said, Doc, I can't. I said, well, then I can't help you. You must get rid of that antigen. Like, if you don't get rid of the carbs when you're a diabetic, you ain't ever going to fix diabetes because you got an allergy to carbohydrates. It's just as simple as that. Diabetes is not a problem. It's not caused by genetics. See this face? I got bad genetics for diabetes. My dad was a diabetic. My grandfather's a diabetic. Rosie and I were talking about this morning. I got to be disciplined every day because I have such a bad tendency to be diabetic, and I just know that about myself. I've known that. My dad was my hero, and you know what? He taught me what diabetes was all about, and I watched him, not by just talking about it, but by his example. My dad just eliminated carbohydrates, and that was in the 1960s. My dad said it to me. I didn't even understand what diabetes was in those days. He said, son, I can't have sugar. Okay. Why, Dad? Why do you eat steak every night? Every night. Because I can't eat carbs and I love steak. Okay. So, Diane, absolutely. Needles or no needles. And if you do it right, there'll be no more needles. Okay, but in the meantime, yes, 30 days. 30 days. It's incredible what happens. So go for it. You got an allergy, or somebody in your family has an allergy, Diane. Get rid of the carb. Go Low program. Sally was asking about that. It's an eating program, a diet program, and I think some supplements too. What do I think of it? Well, if it's low carb, I got no big problem with that. People ask me every day about keto. I like keto. But remember, the reset is much more than keto. Because keto, you can just lower carbohydrates and go into ketosis. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still have some fruits and vegetables and things like that on this Go Low or whatever. And I got no problem with it. But if you want to change your metabolism, you want to get rid of metabolic syndrome, which is insulin resistance, fatty liver, high blood pressure, one of these, high levels of uric acid, high triglycerides, low HDL, you better eat the reset. And look, I'm not against any diet. You want to use a diet, go for it. I got no problem with it. But this allows you nuts and seeds and whatever. But for 30 days, I don't allow that because I've got a reason for doing that. And I don't want you on any oxalates. I don't want you on any lectins. I don't want you on any gluten. I don't want you on any of those things for 30 days because I'm trying to do a complete detox. And there's no detox like it. And it fixes metabolic syndrome. It fixes it. 30 days. Okay? So, Sally, no problem. If you like that particular thing, I got no problem with that at all. Ketosis, by the way, is just lowering carbs. And usually, you go into ketosis. So here, let me explain. You're either burning carbs or you're burning fat. Your body will take carbs first or fat to burn. You never want to burn protein. That's a macro that you don't want to burn as fuel. See, protein is for building. You don't burn it. You only burn down your protein in terms of fuel when you're starving. You don't want to burn down any of your muscles or whatever. That's ketoacidosis. That's not good. But what's good is ketosis. Ketosis is when you lower your carbohydrates, your body has to get a fuel from something else. So it will take the fuel from your fat, and you burn fat. It's a much better fuel. Now, again, the reset is sort of ketotic because you're not eating any carbs. But it's much more than that because it's all very nutrient dense. You see, I pick 3 animal product foods from the dairy and from the eggs and from meat because of the nutrients. And that's the difference. It's nutrient dense. So now you're on rocket fuel. Ketosis is good. But Reset is better. I've done ketosis I preached ketosis in the 70s. It's been around a long time, guys. Okay? It's been around a long time. And so, will the skin shrink back? Deb is asking, with weight loss. Well, it depends what kind of weight loss. You see? That's why I love the reset. Look, the reset isn't a weight loss program. It's not its primary goal. But most women, they want to lose weight. But when they're not losing weight and they're eating good, it's because they got hormones. You see, the reset is meant to fix the hormones. It empties out your liver. It fixes your conversion of T4 to T3 hormones. I go into great detail in my book on why it works so well. But when you lose weight rapidly or whatever, a lot of times the skin, okay, but it will come back, especially if you're eating a lot of protein. This is why, again, it's not just the elimination of certain foods, but it's the, you see, guys, don't focus so much. This is why I try and tell people, okay? Don't focus so much on what you can't eat. Oh, I can't have this and I can't have that. Focus in more on what you can eat. Do I ever get tired of bacon and eggs? No. I've been married for almost 48 years now. Am I tired of my wife? No. Of course not. Right? Do you get tired? Oh, Dr. Martin, I'm tired of eating bacon and eggs. Well, I'm not. Are you tired of drinking coffee? I love coffee more today than I ever used to. Why do you get tired of good stuff? Variety, Dr. Martin, is the spice of life. Who told you that? That's just a saying. Not when it comes to food, and not when it comes to the world in which we live in. We live in a crazy world. And we've gone, there was a study done the other day, 300% higher in fructose. 200 pounds of stinking sugar a year. It's all around us because the food industry lied through their teeth. And they put sugar in everything. And if you don't believe me, can you go to the malls now? Go and watch how big people are. What do you think happened there? It's the amount of carbohydrates. We're eating crappy carbs and vegetable oils. And it's making us sick. So there you go. Somebody, or Cheryl, I actually put your name down every time today. Cheryl asked about non-alcoholic beer. Well, you know, does it affect your liver and testosterone? It depends, okay? Like, if it's a non-alcoholic beer, okay, it'll have brewer's yeast in it. I got no problem with that. But how many carbs does it have? I'd have to see that label. Because carbs are going to go to your liver. They're stored there as fat. So I'm not telling you to leave the planet. Okay, but for 30 days, I don't want you drinking that stuff, even if it's non-alcoholic, for 30 days if you're doing the reset. But if you find, like, to have a non-alcoholic beer, well, you're asking, Cheryl, about testosterone, so it can't be for you. It must be for your husband. Well, remember, testosterone is liver. The liver is all involved in that. That's why I want you to empty out the liver. So read, I don't know if it'd even be on the label, but you can Google it and just see how many carbs they make that beer with. Because they make low-carb beers now, right? Okay. Joan or Joanne, many glomas, these are tumors, but they're benign. They're not cancerous on the meninges, okay, and they grow. So let me just talk about any tumor, or any cyst. Remember what makes things grow, okay? So Joanne, whether it's a meningitis gloma or meningioma, they call it, meningigloma, I think it's the better way to pronounce it. If it is a tumor of any kind, you see a cyst or you have a tumor of any kind, it's benign, but what makes it grow? Two things. One is insulin. Insulin is a growth hormone. And this is why anybody that has cancer, whatever, what do I talk about? Get that insulin down. Get it down. Eliminate the insulin almost completely. Send your pancreas on a holiday. Number one. Number two, estrogen. Estrogen. It's a growth hormone. That's why women have much more trouble with tumors and cysts, even on their ovaries, or polycystic ovarian disorder. It's always twofold. One of them is insulin, and the other one is estrogen, the womanly hormone. And even in men, you got to get the estrogen down. How do you get estrogen down? Dim it out, block it out as much as you can. So if you have any kind of a cyst, I would block the estrogen with a dim. Our hormonal formula is meant to block that dim. Dim blocks extra estrogen. Do you know where they're good to block extra estrogen? Flax seeds, not oil. Don't take the flaxseed oil. It oxidizes very quickly. It gets rancid very quickly. Take the seeds. I like seeds. Okay, I like seeds. Now, don't use them when you're on the when you're doing the reset, because I'm trying to heal the gut completely, so I don't allow any seeds. Okay, so block the estrogen and block the insulin. One is food, and well, look, you lower your estrogen. You lower your estrogen when you do the reset. You lower your estrogen. Okay. So, Doreen is asking about hypoglycemia. What are the causes? Well, a lot of people, hypoglycemia, like diabetes, can be in your genetics. A lot of people, it's just the way they are. They're hypoglycemic. They're built that way. You got to figure that out. Now, some people get hypoglycemia, and they never were, when they have adrenal exhaustion, okay? And their adrenal glands have been secreting cortisol either after an accident or a very traumatic event or chronic stress. And you know what happens? They develop hypoglycemia. That's adrenal. It's very common. But hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia are a double-sided coin. Okay? They're the same problem. When you have hypoglycemia, you have an allergy to carbs, just like hyperglycemia. And because of your cortisol or the way you're made, your sugars fluctuate, just the way you are, but it's what you eat. So when you eat, you need to make protein your king, eggs, meat, and cheese, if you're hypoglycemic. So where does it come from? It comes from genetics, just the way you're built. You have a built-in weakness for that. I do. No, I used to be hypoglycemic. That's how I found out. Even when I didn't stick to the program, my blood sugars would go down. But what must go down? What goes up must come down. And I had to figure out on my own that I had to be very, very careful. And me and sugar just don't get along. We just don't get along. Now, most people don't get along with sugar, but they think they do. Okay? So what causes it? Two things. And Linda was asking, how do you get your sugars down? Having trouble? Do the reset. Do the reset. If you're struggling to get sugars down, you're eating, I don't care, you're eating still too many carbs. I would eliminate all your fruit, all your vegetables. Get rid of them. Fruit are God's candies. Don't have too many. An apple a day does not keep the doctor away anymore. We live in a different world, guys. You just have to understand that. We don't live in the same world. 88% of the population have metabolic syndrome. 88%. I think it's over 90 myself. So what do you do about that? Well, you see, it changes the ball game. The price of poker has changed, folks. We live in a different world. It's not the world that I lived in when I was a kid in the 1950s. I tell my grandchildren, honest, Grandpa, even though you think he's as old as Noah, I used to have cookies and ice cream too, you know. Because they never see Grandpa eating sugar, so they wonder if I ever ate it. I said, I was a kid too, you know. But we live in a different world. You have to understand that. This is why I'm so adamant. What are they saying now? 50% of the population, 50% are already diabetic. And if you're pre-diabetic, you're a diabetic. That's what Dr. Kraft used to say. Not Kraft Dinner, but Dr. Kraft, who was the guru of all gurus on diabetes. And he said, if you're a pre-diabetic and your blood sugars are just even in the normal range, but they're in the high normal range, you're a diabetic. He said, don't fool yourself. You're just fooling yourself. Because your body will do everything. The last thing that happens to a person is diabetes. The first thing that happens is they fill their liver with fat. And they might not even know it. And kids are walking around today with fatty liver. Non-alcoholic fatty liver. Okay. Thanks for the question, Linda. Kristen, and I'm going to... Kristen is asking about... Carrageenan, okay? Did I say it right? And that is the thickening agent that you'll see, okay? Now, if you can find 35, you know how I love 35% cream, or even 18% cream. I'm big on cream, because cream is really what milk used to be, until they made it white Pepsi. Anyway, look, let me just say something general. I fully understand. And Tony Jr. answered this question beautifully on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, when we had our live in the afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, because he was asking about, what do you think about artificial sugars, you know, like aspartame or whatever? And, you know, the other question is about stevia here, a derivative of stevia. Let me just read it. Ribociclib or Droside. What do I think about these things? Well, look, stevia is a natural. It comes from a plant, okay? So I got no problem with it. I don't particularly like the taste of it. So you don't see me using stevia very much. But if you need to use stevia, go for it. I got no problem with that. And, you know, Tony was saying this, okay, and I loved his answer. He said, look, if you're on the Titanic, and you're going to hit the iceberg, don't worry about inside the Titanic, whether I should paint the railings or change the carpet. I love that. He said, do the big thing first. Change course, he said. I like that. I stole that from you, Tony Jr. You know, and this is what I'm saying, okay? What's the point? Well, the point is, if you're eating really good, if you've eliminated your carbs, almost exclusively eating almost no carbs, and you have a Diet Pepsi, for example, okay? That just happens to be your treat. Am I gonna go crazy? No. Is it the best thing that you can drink? Obviously not. Okay? Obviously not. Well, just like alcohol. Am I telling you never to have it? No, I'm not. I don't do that to people. Look, if these xylitol and erythritol, whenever you see an OL at the end those are a sugar alcohol, and a lot of them are used now as, are they really natural? Well, they come from plants. I don't know. A lot of people don't tolerate them, but all I'm saying is, look, once you change course and you're on a good, healthy path, and then you probably will eliminate a lot of these artificial things. Like I'm not saying stevia is artificial, not really. But a lot of it, even today, once it gets to the grocery store, they don't make it, it's not pure. But anyways, like I said, as you get real healthy and you want to eat organic, better, 100% better. Organic is because it's what's not in it. It's like the last question I think was asked by, one of the last questions by Lorraine. Let me ask it now. She's saying, Doc, is tap water that bad? Look, I'd rather you have tap water than not drink water at all. I'd rather you have tap water than you drinking a Pepsi. I'd rather you have tap water than you drinking grocery store milk. But I do recommend that you filter that tap water. Buy yourself a Brita or one of those things that are very inexpensive and try and take all the chemicals. Like I know in Sudbury here, they put about 2,100 chemicals in the water here. I don't drink it. Is it the end of the world? Nah. But it's certainly better drinking water than not drinking it. You see what I'm getting at? Look, I tell this story because a lady came in. It's a couple of years ago now. And I just about landed on the floor because she said to me, she was 50, I think, I'm leaving forever and I'm moving to Costa Rica. And I'm living on a little island there or something. I said, holy moly, sucks to be the rest of us. I said, what about your family? What about your job? What about this? What about that? Guys, we live in the real world. I try and give people a plan to succeed. And if a plan to succeed says I got to put a little bit of, a sweetener in my coffee, well, I feel sorry for you, but go for it. I don't need a sweetener. And by the way, remember what I said? Takes 21 days to form a habit. It's amazing, how you can get rid of even sweeteners. It takes a while to form a habit, but anyway. Okay, very good questions. What do I think of Kerrigan and all that? Well, it's not perfect. It's a thickener. And, if you go on the internet, you'll scare yourself silly on these things because they'll always tell you, you're going to die immediately if you take it. Look, if you can find whole cream, it's better with nothing added. If you got a cow in the backyard, beautiful. I'll even tell you to drink that milk. But by the time it gets to the grocery store, different. But, okay, I think you understand where I'm coming from. I hope you do. Janelle here's a woman's question. How do I get rid of cellulite? Well, good luck with that one. Think about why women get cellulite and men don't. Okay, think about it. What is that caused by? Estrogen. It's a hormone. Lower your estrogen. And start by lowering your insulin. Okay? Does it get rid of it completely? Sometimes it does. Men don't get cellulite. We don't worry about that in our bathing suits. Okay? Melody was asking about osteoporosis and using, and I'll answer yours too, Marnie, because you're asking about boron, and I want to just touch both of them. Melanie's asking about taking drugs for osteoporosis. I don't like them. They've been around a long time, and I don't like them. There's many, many, many side effects. And you know what? For your bones, remember, bones is just not calcium. Okay? I love vitamin D for your bones. I like vitamin K2. Oh, I got a big story coming out. I think probably I will do it Monday on K2, and you study out. Tremendous on vitamin K2. That's found in butter. It's found in cheese. Don't avoid those things because K2 is more important than K1. K1 is in the plant kingdom. K2 is in the animal kingdom. And what they're finding out about K2 now, it's incredible. And how good it is for your bones, but a lot of other things. I'm going to bring that to you probably on Monday. Okay? But you know what? Those drugs, I hate to tell people not to take medications. I don't try and do that so much. I don't like that one. Because you can do it naturally. Get on bone broth. Take vitamin D. Make sure it's got K2 in it. Okay? And eat a lot of protein. Protein, the stronger your muscles, the better your bone is. That's why we love doing weights and not just aerobics. Like ladies, a lot of ladies just love aerobics, and I tell them that's not good for your bones, man. It's good for your heart, but it's not good for your bones. Do a combination of things. Usually, you know me and vitamin E. I like the short 15, 20. I like walking. I walk too, but I do weightlifting. And I do even my a tea. I like the tea. What do they call those things? I can't even remember. Tea something. Okay, you're using your own weight. It's amazing what happens with that, ladies, for your bones. And Marnie was asking about boron, and boron was just Marnie. I know you love us, so I'm just going to tease you a little bit. You know what the best source of boron is? And boron's good for your bones. Boron's good. The best source is coffee. Drink your coffee, man. You get boron. What did I tell you? I brought this to you a couple of weeks ago on coffee. And if you drink coffee, you don't need vitamin. Well, listen, I'll go over this again, but I don't want to get sidetracked too much. Do you know that if you lower your carbohydrates, you don't need very much vitamin C? You'll get all the vitamin C you need in polyphenols and phenolic acid in coffee. Plus, you get boron. Wow! I love coffee. I've only had 3 cups this morning already. I'm going to have a 4th one, too, this morning, okay? Okay. Let me just make sure I'm getting burning mouth syndrome. I'll try and get through these, okay? Burning mouth syndrome. Usually, burning mouth syndrome is a sign of low B12, okay? And I usually get rid of it with probiotics and low B12. Usually, it's a sign of low B12. Anything around your mouth, funny feeling, cold sores, and that, low levels of B12. And usually, they're very low in protein. They don't eat enough protein. Protein is king. You need that. And we're so scared of protein. You need that more than anything else. Protein is the building blocks. And when your mouth is, you got Bernie mouth syndrome, your body's telling you that you don't have enough B12. Well, guess how you find how you get B12? Steak. You need vitamin S. Couple of questions on vasculitis, thrombosis. Can it come back? Vasculitis is an infection of the blood vessels, and usually found in the legs. Yes, it can come back. And, probiotics and microcirculation. Remember, legs is circulation. That's why I love pine bark extract. And because it elevates your nitric oxide. The same with the thrombosis. You want to make sure that your circulation, and I'm big on that. Isn't it amazing how your blood vessels regenerate? They do. They do. Give them the right nutrients. And get off the sugars. Okay. Anne was asking about high bilirubin. Well, that's a sign that bilirubin is more specific for the gallbladder, but also the liver. The liver and the gallbladder are, because remember what I was saying yesterday, your liver makes bile, and then it delivers it to the reservoir. It's your gallbladder is just a reservoir. So if you have high levels of bilirubin, your liver is gummed up, and your gallbladder is gummed up, and that's because you got a start of fatty liver because you're eating too much carbohydrates. The liver is a suitcase. When it gets full, it's a parking lot at Costco. It's full. Get rid of it. Get rid of the cars. Empty it. Rochelle, asking about shingles. Shingles is a virus. It's the chicken pox virus. It's a herpes virus. And shingles usually, and the reason we see so much shingles today, it is an epidemic today. You know why? Because it's not the virus, guys. Oh, I should do a whole program on that. It's not the virus. The virus is always there. It's like the coronavirus, guys, COVID. Oh, Dr. Martin, we're just wait to get rid of COVID. No! COVID, it'll be, if it isn't COVID, COVID is a coronavirus. There's always going to be coronaviruses. Get your immune system. Get it strong. And then the key that usually sets off shingles is cortisol. It's stress. It comes after a period of stress. And stress, what it does, it lowers your immune system. That's what stress does to you. It does other things, but it really lowers your immunity. So get your cortisol down, and that helps with shingles. Okay, Marnie, I answered. Lorraine, I answered. Oh, yeah, and last question, okay? Last question. Andrea, I think, or Andres, I can't pronounce your last name, Andrea. How can I check for levels of arsenic, zinc, and cadmium? Well, you can get tests done. You can get either hair analysis done. We used to do all that with urine test. But there are labs that offer those tests. They're relatively expensive. But if that's what you want to do, you can just Google it, and you can they'll send you a kit, and you can send your saliva, or they'll do urine test or hair analysis. Hair analysis, I find, can be not quite as good, but there are some labs that can do it. Okay, so I'm way over time, guys. Thank you so much this morning for lots of questions. And sorry for my little rants. I go down little rabbit trails because I get excited. But now, if you're not a member of the Martin Clinic Facebook group, I'll do a little advertising. Become a member, private Facebook group member, okay? And invite your friends. That's a great group. And share this on your Facebook page, okay? We appreciate that. And then stay tuned. My new book is, we're hoping for a September. Everything seems to be on cue for a September launch. So look forward to that, okay? So the countdown will be on pretty soon, as I get a final date. Okay, talk to you soon. Love you guys.